Welcome to Highland News Now. I'm Miranda Gagey.
And I'm Autumn Canada.
We start today with recent campus events.
It's now the end of our first week back on campus after the 4-day closure last week. Campus was closed from January 28th through the 31st because of unsafe road conditions and the record low air temperatures and wind chills. Highland President Tim Hood said that while the college typically does not close for cold temperatures, administration found that classrooms and offices would not stay above 60 degrees, even with heating all the way on. President Hood also said the decision was made to protect the welfare of students, staff, and faculty, especially because many have an extended drive to campus. Surrounding institutional closures also influenced the decision. Campus also closed at 3:30 on Tuesday, February 5th due to the ice storm. Stay tuned later in the show when we'll learn more about this polar vortex and how it has affected the community.
On January 25th, Highland announced its list of graduates from the fall 2018 semester. Over 23 academic areas such as early childhood education, information systems, and hospitality management were completed by the 55 students earning their associate's degrees, certificates, or both. 22 arts, 16 science and applied science, and 7 general studies awards were awarded, as well as 30 certificates. They will all be honored at the Highland Community Ceremony on May 18.
Also happening last week on February 1st, the Highland Foundation made its 2019 to 2020 school year scholarships open for application. Over 100 scholarships can be found by clicking admissions and then scholarship section on the Highland website. There is a scholarship for everyone, from those for any academic program or requiring a specific major, non-traditional or non-majority status, and returning students reapplying for a previous scholarship. In addition to each application, students must submit an unofficial transcript received only from the Admissions and Records Department. Most of the application deadlines range from April 1st to August 1st of 2019. But remember to review each application and check with the Highland Foundation to be sure.
Earlier this month, Highland's Computer Numerical Control Program received a $500 donation from the Savannah VFW. Industrial manufacturing instructor Aaron Sargent created a 3-dimensional drawing of a proposed Veterans Memorial site near the Dale Gardner Veterans Memorial Bridge and assisted with fundraising efforts after being approached by the VFW in the fall. Sargent says the department is grateful for the donation, which will be used to purchase new inspection equipment for the CNC lab.
February also marks Black History Month. To celebrate, Student Senate began its month-long movie showing event on February 5th with the films The Gabby Douglas Story and Some Kind of Different as Me. Other films to be shown include South Side with You, Mudbound, 13th, Maya Angelou, and Still I Rise, and Freedom. Showings will be held throughout the semester in Building M on Tuesdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and on Thursdays from 2 to 4 p.m. For the rest of the month, Student Senate encourages everyone to attend and participate in learning more of America's history.
The Highland Food Pantry also had its grand reopening on Tuesday in room M221. The project started preparation in November 2017 and took a lot of planning, donations, and raising awareness from students, staff, and faculty. After over a year of work, the food pantry will be open every Tuesday from 1 to 3 p.m. for the rest of the semester, not including holidays. All Highland students and staff can use the food pantry as they need it. Hours may be extended during the semester depending on the demand.
Campus and national sports did not turn out as planned these past few weeks. We go to sports anchor Will Bising with more.
Thanks, Miranda. We start out with information about Super Bowl 53, which was this past Sunday. The Los Angeles Rams lost to the New England Patriots with a final score of 13-3, which happens to be the lowest scoring Super Bowl in NFL history. However, this does mean the Patriots have now tied the Pittsburgh Steelers for having the most Super Bowl wins with 6 under their belt. The Patriots were led by quarterback Tom Brady, who completed 21 passes for 262 yards, with his top receiver being wide receiver Julian Edelman, who caught 10 passes for 141 yards. Edelman went on to become the Super Bowl MVP, the first wide receiver to do so since Antonio Holmes after Super Bowl 40. In more sports, now that the NBA trade deadline is over, here are some of the major highlights. First, we start with news from back on January 31st, where Kristaps Porzingis, Courtney Lee, and Tim Hardaway Jr. were traded to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Dennis Smith Jr., Wesley Matthews, DeAndre Jordan, and 2 future first-round picks. Other and more recent trades that have occurred this past week include Tobias Harris was shipped to the Philadelphia 76ers, including Boban Marjanovic, and Mike Scott in exchange for Wilson Chandler, Mike Muscala, Landry Shamet, and this deal also includes where the Clippers will acquire 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks from the 76ers. The Bulls ended up trading Jabari Parker, Bobby Portis, and a 2023 second-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Otto Porter. There was a lot of other deals done at the end of the trade deadline on Thursday, and here are some of the main highlights. First, we start with the Philadelphia 76ers acquired Jonathan Simmons, 1 first-round pick and 1 second-round pick from the Orlando Magic. In return, the Magic will pick up Markelle Fultz from the 76ers. Up next, the Milwaukee Bucks have picked up Nikola Mirotic from the New Orleans Pelicans. In return, the Pelicans will get Jason Smith and Stanley Johnson, while the Pistons will get, in return, 4 second-round picks from the Bucks as well. Finally, the Grizzlies send Marc Gasol to the Toronto Raptors for Jonas Valanciunas, C.J. Miles, DeLon Wright, and a 2024 second-round pick. At the end of the trade deadline, there was no deal done for the Lakers to acquire Anthony Davis, which means that the Celtics will be the front-runners to trade for Davis at the end of the NBA season. Now in Highland sports news, as a result of the campus being closed due to the weather, many men and women's basketball games were canceled, and as of right now, there have not been any rescheduled. However, the Lady Cougars, who are on a 7-game winning streak right now, have a game today against Kennedy King at 1 p.m. The men, who are on an 8-game winning streak, will follow right after at 3 p.m. Both games are at home, so come down and support your men and Lady Cougars at the YMCA in the main gym. Join us next week as we discuss more national and campus sports news.
Jeffrey DeLay is a new music professor here at Highland.
This is my second year. I have 3 semesters under my belt.
While he is new to Highland, he has prior experience working in his field.
I was an adjunct professor at College of Lake County for a good number of years.
Even though his prior college was a bigger school in comparison to Highland, he enjoys working as a part of our community.
I enjoy Highland. It puts an interesting perspective onto higher education and being teaching at the junior college level.
While Highland is a smaller college than DeLay is used to teaching at, he explains how it does have its advantages.
This is a small school where I'll have the same students in perhaps a number of classes, and after I've had them in class, I keep seeing them around campus a lot more than I might at my previous school. So it becomes something more of a community.
DeLay teaches class piano, choir, and music theory at Highland. He hopes that working here, he can not only further students' knowledge of music and their interest in it, but overall how it affects their lives.
Well, there's information to be communicated, but more than that, I'm hoping to see an interest in what we're doing, and I'm wanting to see the sort of integrative thinking that takes what we're talking about and ties it all together, and that the type of thinking where we relate what we know to the rest of our lives.
The weekend of February 1st was both shocking and upsetting to the people of Freeport as more violence spilled through Stevenson County. Chad Blazer, age 23, is charged with first-degree murder with the stabbing of 21-year-old Gabrielle Pecci. Reports state that the couple was driving when Blazer started stabbing her. As a result, she crashed a car, but was continued to be stabbed. Blazer left the scene, but was found about a half a block away. Pecci was taken to the hospital where she died from her injuries. Blazer is being held on a bond currently set at $400,000.
Sadly, the crime spree did not stop there, as 3 men were shot in the parking lot of a Cedar Inn on the morning of February 3rd. 2 of the men were killed. Kyle Tucker, aged 35, was pronounced dead at the scene, and Shad Bradbury, was 36, died at a Rockford hospital. Mike Steinhauser, aged 35, was taken to Freeport Memorial Hospital. The Stephenson County Sheriff's Department announced at a press conference that at this moment, the relationship between Friday's and Sunday's murders are still under investigation. The motive is also described to be under investigation. Devin Markham, aged 23, is accused of shooting the 3 men. Markham is held at Stephenson County Jail with a bail of $600,000, charged with murder and attempted murder.
The winter chills have come and hit the surrounding area like crazy. Almost all of the schools in the year were closed for almost 2 weeks straight. However, that's not it. People are also amazed by how many businesses had to close down due to the extreme cold conditions. People were encouraged to stay indoors. Even bigger companies like Xfinity opened up their Wi-Fi hotspots for all people to use who would be misplaced by the storm. Hopefully the weather will continue to remain at higher temperatures. For more information on the polar vortex and how it affected us, stay tuned for Melanie Brown's weather update.
Attention all theater junkies in the surrounding area. Auditions for See How They Run are to be held February 23rd at Polo Area Community Theater from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The show has a cast call for 6 male actors and 3 female actors, years 18 and up. Be prepared to present different accents at this open audition. For more information, visit www.polotheater.org.
Looking for an activity to do Friday night? Well, if you're a hockey fan, you can check out the Ice Hogs versus the Tucson Roadrunners Friday, February 8th at 7 p.m. at the BMO Harris Bank Center. Ticket prices range from $8 to $30.
Want to support a local market and get some produce? Every second Saturday of the month until April, this market is held at 1 Prairie Ridge Drive, Galena, Illinois. The hours for the event take place starting at 9 a.m. and end at 12 p.m. The event is completely free to check out, so go support your local produce providers, bakers, crafters, and more.
Galena has no shortage when it comes to embracing the winter season. Friday, February 15th through Sunday, February 17th, Galena is holding a winter carnival weekend located at Eagle Ridge Resort and Spa. Enjoy this event huddled by a bonfire, playing snow games, watching ice carvings, and finally watching the hot air balloon glow, all for free. For more information and the complete schedule of events, check out Eagle Ridge's website.
For more on the extreme weather we've been having, as well as a look ahead, we now turn to Highland News Now Chief Meteorologist Melanie Brown.
After days of schools and businesses closing in the community due to the polar vortex last week, the extremely low temperatures were not the last threat to northern Illinois. On February 5th, northern Illinois faced their first ice storm warning in nearly a decade, with more than a quarter-inch of ice likely to form on the roads. FEMA encouraged drivers to stay inside unless absolutely necessary. The ice continued to cover the roads on Wednesday night. These ice storms have been putting snowplows and salt trucks to work, and it looks like they won't be stopping anytime soon. Many avoided the chilling temperatures from the polar vortex, with record-breaking lows such as -38 in Mount Carroll. Earth science instructor Steve Curran was able to give more detail about the polar vortex.
So the polar vortex is kind of two things. It's an upper air circulation, area of low pressure in the stratosphere. It's about 6 to 30 miles above the Earth's surface, and that's the actual polar vortex. And then there's a secondary part, which is lower down the troposphere, the level of the atmosphere that you and I are in. And when you might know it better as the jet stream. So when the jet stream begins to weaken, and there's a lot of evidence that's showing that when Arctic sea ice is melting, it's reducing the intensity of the jet stream, and that's allowing the polar vortex in the stratosphere to actually split in 2 or 3 parts. And so when that happens, one of those parts drifts down towards us, and we get temperatures of 20, 30, 35 below. In fact, the new all-time low temperature in Illinois was set last week at -36 in Rockford. Around this country, I think 20 or 21 people passed away from the severe cold. So this is going to be a pretty deadly and significant event. Fortunately for us, this is a pretty short-lived one. It was only really cold for 3 or 4 days. It was windy, so that made it worse. The winter of 2013, 2014, that's kind of when polar vortex became known in this country. That was a much longer event. I lived in northwestern Wisconsin. We had a week straight of -30 air temperature. Every morning was -30. Our cars hated it. Schools were open, though, for the most part. But that continued on for January, February, March, and actually the city's water pipes were freezing. It was a pretty significant event.
And so what kind of effects have we seen in Illinois specifically, and then maybe some other states?
It's kind of a Midwest, East Coast regional thing. It was the extreme cold. This happened to be a windy event, so we get wind chills of, I believe, someplace in Minnesota, -66. I saw -57 here, which was the coldest I've ever experienced, and probably you as well. But now, this isn't well, I said it's a short-term pattern. It was only cold for a couple days. There's some evidence that all this snow, all this freezing rain that we've been having, we're supposed to have another storm Sunday, another storm on Tuesday. That's kind of contributed from the polar vortex, where it makes the system very active. So you get one storm after another kind of riding along this cold air, and we're getting it. And it's not just us. It's going to be snowing actually in Portland, and it snowed in San Francisco a couple days ago. It's going to hit the mountains in pretty much all the upper Midwest.
As we head into the weekend for Stevenson County, be prepared for temperatures to start to rise and expect light snow Sunday morning. Temperatures will remain consistent with upper 20s through Friday. In Ogle County, we will be seeing a wintry mix of snow showers in the lower 20s. There won't be much sunshine in Joe Davies County this week. We will be seeing cloudy skies with a high chance of snow showers throughout the week. There will also be some snow flurries on Sunday morning in Carroll County, and light snow showers on Wednesday and Thursday morning. Hopefully we will see some warmer weather in the future. Until next time, I'm Melanie Brown.
Thanks, Melanie, and now we turn to upcoming campus events. HCC Servant Leadership is hosting a leadership conference open to all Highland students tomorrow, February 9th, on the second floor of Building H. Though seating is limited, walk-ins are accepted, and they will join both pre-registered students and servant leaders to network with local professionals, develop teamwork skills and a personal statement, and practice the power of positivity. Educational trainer Tammy Abel will be the keynote speaker. OSF Excellence Coach Tiffany Nyman, Pearl Valley Eggs Marketing Leader Danielle Rogers, and FHN Human Resources Leader Megan Cox are some of the professionals who will be in attendance. At a closing panel where attendees can ask questions, they will be joined by County Board Member and entrepreneur Mark Diddens and one of Highland's own advisors, Thedford Jackson. The conference will be from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m.
Highland students who are graduating this spring, along with summer graduates participating in the May ceremony, must fill out their intent to graduate form by Friday, February 15th. Everyone completing their degree or certificate, even if they do not participate in the ceremony, must fill out this form. It can be found in campus-wide email from Jeremy Brad or in the Records and Registration Office on the second floor of Building H. Each graduating student must also pay a $30 non-refundable fee when turning in their form to cover cap and gown costs. Contact Jeremy Brad, Director of Enrollment and Records, with any questions.
Campus will be closed on Tuesday, February 12th to observe President Lincoln's birthday. And Student Activities is sponsoring the annual Highland ski trip to Chestnut Mountain on this day off. To register, print the attached waiver found in your Highland email from Stacy Moore and include your payment with a note regarding which package you are purchasing. Return to Stacy in room M103 or to Liz Gerber in room M101. Both in the Success Center by February 11th. Price details for those making advance reservations can be found in the Highland email from Stacy. Transportation from Highland is first reserved, first served, and leaves campus at 8 a.m. from the Science Building parking lot, leaving the resort at 4 p.m. to return. Registration check-in at the resort is from 9 to 9:30 a.m., and if you drive yourself, you will meet in the ski rental building.
Cali Services will be on campus Wednesday, February 13th to inform students about their hiring opportunities from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Building H. Students can participate in open interviews for part-time and full-time positions, as well as short-term, long-term, temporary, and direct hires. Available positions include picking and packing, warehouse associates, general assemblers, forklift drivers, and machine operators. Attend this event to get interview experience, learn about their perks and specialties, and possibly be on the path to a new job.
The Highland Community College speech team invites everyone to their Fall in Love with Forensics event on February 13th. You can watch the team's performances of speeches, poetry, comedy, and short stories for free. Donations of any size are accepted and will enter you in a drawing for a Valentine's Day themed prize. Students can use the event to fill out oral reports for speech classes and to learn from the speakers for their own performances. Fall in Love with Forensics will be held from 4 to 5 p.m. on Wednesday, February 13th in room M120.
Valentine's Day is busy on campus, and it's also National Donor Day. To mark this occasion, the Nursing Student Organization and the Academic Advising Department will be holding a registration drive on February 14th in Building M. From 10 a.m. until 2 p.m., students and community members can register online to become organ and tissue donors. They'll also be able to hear from donor recipients and ask questions about the process. The hosts ask that everyone considers registering to help give patients the life-saving transplants they need in time. To continue celebrating Valentine's Day, there will be activities and snacks in the cafeteria from 12:30 to 2 p.m., and IntroVersity will be handing out cookies on campus from 2 until 3 p.m.
February 14th is also the opening of the 50th Annual District Juried Art Exhibit, featuring the work of local artists in the West Wing of the Ferguson Fine Arts Center. Entries include 2- and 3-dimensional works of art in any medium from Highland students and any adult residing in the Highland District. All entries are automatically submitted for possible inclusion in Highland's art and literature publication, The Prairie Wind. The exhibit will run until March 6th and is free for the public to attend. The opening reception will be held on February 14th from 4:30 to 6 p.m., with awards being announced at 5:30 p.m.
The January 23rd meeting of the Highland Board of Trustees was also canceled due to winter weather, but their next meeting on February 19th is expected to cover some of the items that were missed. There is expected to be a presentation from the village of Mount Morris about a request regarding the Lee Ogle Enterprise Zone. In academics, they are expected to review College Now agreements with local high schools and a new campus program, a patient care technician certificate. The board will review personnel seniority lists, revised job descriptions, and the appointment of a new upward bound coordinator. The big financial topic expected to be reviewed is a resolution to approve a locally funded new greenhouse adjacent to Building E. Funded by donations in the amount of $200,000, this greenhouse will serve agricultural students pursuing degrees or certificates in crop and soil, science and horticulture. The February 19th meeting is open to the public and will be held at 4 p.m. in room H228 of the Student Conference Center, Building H.
Elsewhere in the Fine Arts program, one student is adjusting well to theater life. We now go to Will Beesing with our student spotlight on Owen Bennett.
Owen Bennett is currently a sophomore at Highland and has been working around the theater program this past fall in the play Newsies.
But I started here last semester. Last semester was my first show here at Highland. I loved it, so I've only been doing it here for a semester now.
Even though Owen has been a part of a few shows before in high school, he says that this type of performance was a completely different experience.
I mean, just being a part of the show was awesome, but with this main role at Highland, it was eye-opening. That was my first ever lead role for just me. It was awesome. It was an amazing experience, but I mean, just being in the show was what I aim for every time, and that was just awesome, just extra, so it was great.
Now, even though Owen did say that this was his first production at Highland, he did enjoy the people that he was surrounded by in the cast.
Oh yeah, everyone, it seems like everyone in the cast that I meet in the cast, they're all awesome. They're all great people. I love working with all of them. And you really do meet a lot of new friends because they all are there for the same purpose, and they all want the show to go great. So after that, and with that being said, it's everyone breaks down and gets into the groove and gets the show running perfectly. And it's awesome when you see that, because then it really takes out the stereotype of this generation. It's just everyone gets along, and it's really awesome to be a part of.
And even though Owen does enjoy the production that he works on, he did mention that it can be very time consuming.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely takes a lot of time, especially with the role I had, and honestly any role, because there is no small role in a show. They're all equally as important, but especially with mine, I had a lot of lines and a lot of songs and dancing to cover.
Yeah.
I had to do it a lot on my own, and it got to the point where I didn't quit my job, but for those 2 weeks where we were practicing every day, I couldn't work. Then I was just completely involved with the show every day, almost all my time. So, but it was a fun thing, so it all made it worth it.
Thanks, Will. From there, we will now move on to our national news. President Donald Trump on Sunday declined to rule out another government shutdown this month and threatened to declare a national emergency if a bipartisan committee negotiating over agency funding does not include money for his proposed border wall. In similar news, the United States announced on Friday it will withdraw from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty in 6 months unless Moscow ends what it said were violations of the 1987 pact. As of January 27th, there are 483 candidates who are filed to run for the presidential race in 2020.
Also, there's an update on the police officer that has been shot in St. Louis playing Russian roulette. Nathaniel Henderson now has been placed under house arrest after he was charged with manslaughter for pulling the trigger and killing Caitlin Alex. In news earlier this week, it was noted that the feds have made the largest fentanyl bust in United States history. The bust was recorded at 254 pounds of drugs in the floor compartment of a produce truck. Finally, the 61st Annual Grammy Awards ceremony will be held at the Staples Center in Los Angeles on February 10th.
And that will do it for this week's edition of Highland News Now. We hope you join us next week for our next edition.
From all of the people here in the Mass Communications Department, I'm Miranda Dakey.
And I'm Autumn Canada.